the beginning of a successful business course idea. As much as I have privilege of substyling an unemployed salmon is not idea. I now assume the further privilege of suggesting another idea with hash 15. It is a possibility of even greater income. Also, the possibility of surrounding useful service to thousands of people who badly need that service. The idea was suggested by the salesman who gave up selling and went into the business of keeping books on the wholesale basic. When the plan was suggested as a solution of his unemployment problem, he quickly exclaimed, "I like the idea, but I would not know how to turn it into cash." In other words, he complained he would not know how to market his bookkeeping knowledge after he acquired it. So that's brought up another problem which had to be solved with the aid of the young woman typist clever at hand lettering who could put the story together and very attractive work was prepared describing the advantages of the new system of bookkeeping. The pages were nearly typed and passed in the ordinary scrapbook, which was used as a silent sermon with which a story of his new business. So was fatally so that it only soon as more accounted than he could handle. There were thousands of people all over the country who need the service of merchandising, specialist paper and preparing the attractive for use in marketing personnel service. The aggregate annual income from such a service might easily exceed that received by the largest employment agency, and the benefits of the service might be much far greater for the purchaser than any be obtained from the employment agency. The idea here described corresponds the necessary to break the emergency which has to be curbed, but it is not stopped by the merely serving one person. The government who created the idea has a keen imagination. He saw in her newly born brainchild the making of new profession, one that is destined to render valuable service to thousands of people who need practical guidance in marketing personnel service. Explore the actions of the instantaneous service of the preparation plan to market personal service is the energetic government turn next to the solution of a similar problem for her son who had just finished college and has been totally able to find a market for her service. The plan was originated from his use of finest specimens of the merchandising of the personal service has been seen. When a plan book has been completed, it contains nearly 50 pages of beautifully typed, broadly organized information telling the story of her son's native ability, schooling, personal experience, and the great varieties of other information through extensive for description. The plan book also contained a complete description to the position her son desired, together with the marvelous word picture to exact plan he produced in filling the position. The preparation of the plan book requires several weeks' labor, during which time is created sending her son to the public library almost daily and procure data needed in selling his service to best advantage. He sent him also to all the competitors of the prospective employer, and together with the vital information concerning the business methods, which was a great value in the information of the plan he intended to use in fulfilling the position he sought. When the plan had been finished, it contained more than half a dozen very final suggestions for the use of beneficial of prosperous this employee, and the suggestion was put into the use by the company. One may be inclined to ask, why go through all the trouble to secure a job? The answer is straight to the point. Also, it's dramatic because there with the subject with assumptions of proportion to the tragedy, and millions of men and women who saw the source of income is personal services. The answer is doing with things will never be trouble. The plan prepared by this woman for the benefit of her son helped him get the job for which he's applied at the first interview at the salary fixed by himself. Moreover, it's too important, the position did not require the young man to start at the bottom. He began as the junior executive and an executive salary. Why go to all this trouble, do you ask rather? For one thing, the bluntest presentation is the young man application for a position cliff off no less than 10 years time. 10 years time. 10 years time would he required to get to where he began had he started to the bottom and worked its way up. The ideas of starting at the bottom and work one way up may appear to be sound, but the major objection to it is that too many of those who began at the bottom never managed to lift their hat. He's enough to be seen by opportunity. So they remain at the bottom, and he should be remembered also that the lookout from the bottom is not very bright and encouraging. It has been tendency to keep up ambition. We call the getting into us, which means that we accept our fate because we form the habit of daily routine, the habits that finally become the strong and cease to try to throw it up. And it is other reason why it pays to start one or two steps above the bottom. By doing one forms the habits of looking a draw of observation, how others get ahead and seeing opportunity, and of embracing it without hesitation. Dan Hopkins is a splendid example of what I mean. During his college day, he was manager of the famous 1930 National Championships Nottingham football team when it was under the direction of the late Nat Rockner. Perhaps it was inspired by the great football coach to aim high, but not mistake temporary defeat for failure. As George Andrew Carnegie, the great industrial leader, by his young business, lieutenant, and set high goals for themselves. At any rate, young Hodge finished the college at the mighty unfavorable time when its disruption has made jobs scarce. So, after a fling at the investment, banking, and motion picture, he wrote the first open with the potential future he could find. Selling electrical hearing aids on the commission basics. Anyone who started in that sort of job and Hopkins knew it. It was enough to open the door of opportunity to him. For almost 2 years, he continued in a job not to his liking. and he would never ask Rising about the job if he had not done something about this the dissatisfaction. He enters and had a job assistant manager of his company. He got the job, and one step upwards led him hide enough about the product to enable to him to see still greater opportunity. Also, it placed him where opportunity could see him. He made such a fine record selling hearing aids that I am Andrew, chairman of the boss of Dictograph Production Company, a business competitor of the company for which Harpin worked. Want to know something about that man? That Harpin was taking Big Sur away from the law as they placed Dictograph Company. He sent to Harpin when the interview was over. Harpin was the new star manager in charge of the acoustic division. Then to test Young the Harpin mentor. Test her puppy mentor, the Mr. Andrew went away to Florida for 3 months, leaving him to seek or swim in his new job. He did not fix, not scrupulous spirits of all the world's love the winner, and has no time for a loser. It's right him to put so much into his job that he was recently elected vice president of the company and general manager of the acoustician and silent radio division. A job with Brosman would be out 2 years lawyer Clinton in more next month. It's difficult to say whether Mr. Andrew or Mr. Harpin is more deserving of elogy for the reason that both though evidence of having an abundance of very rare quality known as imagination. Mr. Andrew deserves credit for serving in young Harpin to go together of the Turkish order. Harpin deserved credit for refusing to compromise with life by the accepting and keep a job he did not want. And that is one of the major points I am trying to emphasize through this entire philosophy, that we raise to high position and remain at the bottom because of the condition we can control if we decide to control them. I am trying to emphasize another point, namely, and success and failure as largely the result of habit. I have not the slightest doubt that Dan Happy's close association with the greatest football coach American often knew planted in his mind and same plan of desire to excel which made the Nottingham football team the world famous. Truly, there is something to the idea that hero worship is helpful, provide on one worship a winner. Harpin tell me that Rock was one of the world's greatest leader of men in all history. My belief in the theory that business association is vital factor both in failure and in successful was recently demonstrated when my son.
Ôi, chào cụ Oanh, nên một mình cụ Oanh đọc à?
Thì cứ đọc thôi chứ giờ sao.
Em đưa cái bé lớn nó đi nhập học, cho nên là không vào được.
Thì thôi. Bây giờ em có đọc không?
Cô Oanh ơi, hôm nay cô Nhị Hà vắng ấy, mà em lại đang di chuyển ô tô ấy, tí nữa mà mình có họp không cô?
Cô cũng không biết nữa, tại vì cô có hỏi cô Hương đó mà không biết là cô Hương có họp không. Còn nếu có họp thì Nãy cô hỏi cô Hương nè.
Hôm nay là vắng thầy rồi.
Cô Hương đang bảo
Ôi,
là cô Hương không học, không học, không học.
không học à?
Ờ.
Ôi, chị ơn của anh. Một mình cô anh đang
Ờ. Ờ.
chăm chỉ quá.
Hả? Thì
Cô anh
bây
chăm chỉ
giờ
quá.
có giờ nào thì giờ mọi người đang bận thì thôi mình cứ đưa lên thì mình làm thôi. Dạ, không sao.
Đó, biết ơn cô anh.
Ừ.
Em lại xin phép
Ừ.
em out ra trước, em đi xe đây.
Đợi, ok. Rồi, để cô đọc nốt đi. Đọc xong rồi cô out. My belief in a theory that business association are vital factor both a failure and insuccess was recently demonstrated when the Sun Blair with a negotiating with Dan happened a position and had been offered him a beginning salary of about at one half that it would have gotten from the privately I worked for 2 years and induced him to accept the less with the Mr. Heaven because I believe that a close association with one to refuse to compromise with circumstances he does not like. It is a set that can never be measured in terms of money. Day 45, the bottoms of the monotonous daily unprofitably for any person. That is why I haven't taken the time to describe how slowly begins maybe circumvented by proper planning. Also, that is why so much space has been devoted to the description of a new profession created by a woman who was inspired to do a fine job of planning because she wanted her son to have a favorable break. With the change condition asked by the world's economic collapse come also needs for newer and better way to marketing personal service. It is hard to determine why someone had been previously discovered this stupendous need in interviews the fact that more money changing hands in return for personal service than for any other purpose. The show pays out monthly to people who work through wage and salary, so it's so huge that it's run into hundreds of millions, and the annual distribution amounts to billions. Perhaps some were fine in the idea he briefly described the nuclear design until it has been the city from which fortunes have flown. Ugra's 5 and 10 cent story idea, for example, has vastly rich, but is filled up for fortunes for its creator. Those seeing opportunity lurking in this suggestion were five valuable as in the chapter on organized planning. Incidentally, an asphyxiant merchandiser of a personal service would find the growing demand for his service wherever the man and woman who seeks better markets for their service. By applying the mastermind principle, a few people with suitable talent could form an alliance by have a paying business very quickly. One would need to be a fair writer with the flair for advertising and selling, a handy at typing and hand lettering in one should be a first-class business getting who would let the world know about the survey. If one person possesses all this ability, he might carry on the business alone until it's outbill him. The woman who prepares the personal service sale plans for her sons now receives requests from all parts of the country for her cooperation in preparing similar plans for others who desire to market and personal service for more money. He has a staff of expert typists, artists, and writers who have the ability to dramatize the case history and fictively that one person service can be marketed for much more money than the prevailing rate in similar service. She is also confident of her abilities as she accepts and the major portions of her fee, the percentage of the increasing price she helps her clients to earn. It should not be supposed that her plan merely consists of clever salesmanship by which she had men and women to demand and receive more money for the same service they formerly sought less by after the interest of producer as well as the seller of personal service. So prepare her plan that the employer receive full values for the additional money he pays. The methods by which she accomplished this astonishing result is the professional secret, which she discloses to no one excepting her own client. If we have the imagination and seek the more profitable outlets for your personal service, this suggestion may be true stimulus for which you have been searching, the idea and capable of yielding an income far greater than that one average doctor, lawyer, and engineer whose education requires several years in college. The idea is that able those who seeking new position in particularly or position calling for managerial for executive ability and those desiring rearrangement are incomes in these present positions. There is no fixed price for sales idea. Back of all ideas is specialized knowledge. Unfortunately, for those who do not find riches in abundance, specialized knowledge is more abundant and more easily acquired than idea. Because of this very truth, there is an universal demand and an ever-increasing opportunity for the person capable of helping men and women to serve their personal service advantageously. Capability means imagination, the one quality needed to combine specialized knowledge with idea in the form of organized plan designed to yield riches. If you have imaginations, the chapter may present you with an idea sufficient to serve as the beginning of the riches you desire. Remember, the idea is the main thing. Specialized knowledge may be found just around the corner, any corner. The chapter 6, Imagination, the workshop of the mind. The fifth step was riches. The imagination is literally the workshop wherein our impressions or plan created by the man. The impulse, the desire, is given shape, form, and essence through the act of imaginative faculty of the mind. It has been said man can create anything we can imagine. All the age of civilization, this is the most favorable for the development of the imagination because it is one act of rapid change. Once every hand one makes contact, stimulus which develops the imagination. Through the act of the imaginative faculty, the man discovers and harness the smaller nature force during the past 50 years and during the entire history of the human race. Previous of that time, he has conquered to air is completely that. The birds are the poor match from him in flying. He has harnessed the ether and made it serve as the means of instantaneous communication with any part of the world. He has analyzed and watched the sun at the distance of millions of miles and has determined through the act of imagination the element of which is constant. He had discovered that if our then is both a broadcasting and a receive station for the vibrations of thought, and he is beginning to now to learn how to make practical use of this discovery. He has increased the speed of the low commotion until he may now travel at the speed of more than 300 miles an hour. The Hamlin frequency of San Francisco. Man's only limitation with reason lays in the development and use of his imagination. He has not yet reached the aspects of development in the use of his imagination faculty. He has merely discovered that he has an imagination and has commenced to use in the every elementary way. Two forms of imagination. The imagination faculty function in two forms. One is known as thematic imagination and the other a creative imagination. Thematic imagination through this faculty one may arrange all concept ideas outlined into the new combination. This faculty creates nothing. It merely works with the material of experience, education, and observation with which it is fed. It is a faculty used most by the inventor, with the exception of the who draw upon the creative imagination when he cannot show his problem through the synthesis of imagination. Creating imagination through the faculty of creative imagination, the finite mind of man have direct communication with the infinite intelligence. It is the faculty through which hunches and aspiration are received. It is by this faculty that all basic or new ideas are handed over to man. It is through this faculty that thought vibration from the mind of others are received. It is through this faculty that one individual may turn in or communicate with the subconscious mind of other men. The creative imagination works automatically in the manner described in subsequent species. This faculty function only when this conscious mind is vibrating at an exceedingly rapid rate, as for example, when the conscious mind is stimulated through the emotion of a strong desire. The creative faculty become the more alert, more receptive to vibration from the sources mentioned in proportion to its development through you. This statement is significant. Ponder over it before passing on. Keep in mind as you follow this principle that this entire story of how one may convert desire into money cannot be told to one statement. The story will be complete in one has mastered as assimilators by began to make use of all the principle. The great leader, the business industry, finance, and the greatest artists, musician, poets, and writer become great before they develop the faculty of creative imagination. Both the synthesis and synthetics and creative faculty of imagination become more alert with use just as any muscle or organs for the body develops through use. Desire is only a thought, an impulse. It is nebulous and impermeable. It is abstract by the no value until it has been transformed into the physical counterpart, while the synthetic imagination is the one which will be used more frequently in the progress of the transforming the impulse of desire into money. You must keep in mind the fact that you may face the circumstances and situations which demand use of creative imagination as well. Your imaginative faculty may have become weak through inaction. It can be revived and made alert through use. This faculty does not die through it may become quiescent through lack of you. Center your intention for the time being on one development of the synthetic imagination because it is the faculty which you will use more often in the process and converting desire into money. Transformation of the intangible impulse, the desire into the tangible reality of money calls for the use of a plan or plans. These plans must be formed with the act of the imagination and mainly with the synthetic faculty. With the entire book through, then come back to this chapter and begin at one to push your imagination to work on the building or a plant or plants for the transformation of your desire into money. Detailed instruction for the building of plants have been given almost every chapter. Carry out the instructor best suit for the need review of your plan to writing. If you have not already done so, the moment you complete it, you will be definitely give a concrete from the intangible desire. Did the preceding sentence once more. Did is allowed very slowly and as you do so, remember that the moment you reduce the state of it will actually convert a step which will enable you to convert the thought into its physical counterparts. The earth on which you live, you yourself, and every other material things are the result of evolutionary change through which microscopic bit of matter has been organized or arranged in orderly fashion. Moreover, in this statement of the stupendous importance, these are every one of the billions of individual cells of your body, and every atoms of matter began as an intangible form of energy. Divine is through a thought impulse. Thought impulse are the form of energy. When you begin with the thought impulse designed to accumulate money, you are attracting in your service the same stuff that natives use in creating this earth and every material from the universe, including the body and brains in which the thought impulse functions. As far as science has been able to determine, the entire universe consists of but two elements, matters and energy. Through the combination of energy, the matter has been created, everything perceptive to man from the largest star which floats in the heaven down through and including man himself. You are one engaged in the task of trying to profit by nature measure. You are sincerely and earnestly trying to adapt yourself to nature laws by endeavoring to convert desire into its physical and monetary equivalent. You can do it. It has been done before. You can build a fortress through the acts of law which are immutable, but first you must become familiar with these laws and learn to use them through repetition and by approaching the description of this principle from every conceivable angle. The author hoped to reveal and you can secrets through which every great fortune has been accumulated, trained, and Pedro secret as it seems the secret is not a secret. Nature herself advertises it is earth on which will light the star, the planets, the suspended within our view, in the elements around it, in every bed of cracks and every front of light within our vision. Nature advertises this secret in the term biology in the conversion of a tiny cell so small that it may be lost on the point of a pin into the human being now waiting this life. This conversion of desire in its physical equivalent is certainly no more miraculous. Do not become discouraged if you do not fully comprehend all that has been stated. Unless you have long been heard, it's not be natural stimulates all that's in the chapter from the preceding, but you will in time make good progress. The principle which follow will open the way for understanding of imagination, a stimulus that with your understand actuate this philosophy for the first time, then you will read and study it. You will discover that something has happened to clarify it and give you a broader understanding the whole bus or do not talk of hesitate or study in this principle until you have read the book at least 3 times from 95 and 96 francs if you will not want to stop. How to make practical use of imagination. Ideas are beginning points of all fortunes. Ideas are produced of this imagination. Let's examine a few well-known ideas with careful judgment. Here, fortune with the heart. That this installation you will convey definite information concerning the methods by which imagination may be used in accommodating riches. That's all. Thank you for listening. Rồi xong.